So I'm in a relationship. Why do I feel so lonely? We all talk about the epidemic of loneliness in the Western civilization. The Surgeon General of the United States under Obama called it one of America's #1 health problems. But when we think about the epidemic of loneliness, we think primarily of isolation, of people who just don't see very much of other human beings. That's true, but guess what? That's not what we're talking about. That is not primarily what the studies are about. You can be surrounded by a sea of people and be disconnected at the same time. And most important, you can be sitting on the living room couch with your nearest and dearest and feeling so alone. If you really let yourself, you would goddamn scream. That is a nightmare. You know, we've all seen the movies or been there ourselves. Audrey Hepburn. You look at the couple at the restaurant across from you, and they're eating their entire meal in complete silence, and you say to the person, I never, ever want to be that. Let me tell you something about that couple. As a couples therapist who's worked with people for 40 years, that couple sitting next to you who isn't talking is not talking because they have nothing to say. That's what you think, but you're wrong. They're talking because they have too much to say and no constructive way of saying. You're talking to the guy who wrote the book, Fierce Intimacy. I believe that if you want to keep a relationship passionate, juicy, alive, healthy, you need to be able to risk it. You need to be able to lean into your partner and go, ready? No, that doesn't work. This needs to change. It's called having limits in your relationship. But we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to correct things with each other. We don't even know the basic skills of how to go after what you want in a constructive way. The way most of us do it is by sharing how awful we feel and criticizing our partner for doing it wrong. How's that working for you? That couple not speaking to each other tried to speak to each other once or twice or 40 times and eventually gave up. It's not impossible. It's impossible with the primitive skills that they were handed by their family growing up and by this anti-relational culture we all live in. We can do better. In fact, we can do remarkably better, but you have to learn how. You have to learn how to cook. You have to learn how to speak French. You have to learn how to play baseball. You have to learn how to drive a car. There are skills that no one has taught you. How to stand up for yourself and be loving to your partner at the same time. The difference between, I don't like the way you're talking to me, which is what everybody sounds like, versus, honey, I want to hear what you have to say. Could you tone it down so I could hear you? I'm really trying to hear. Two ways of saying the same thing. But here's the revolution. Number two stands up for you and cherishes your partner in the same breath. Do you know how to do that? I doubt it, but you can learn how to get back on track when the wheels fall off, how to move back into repair, how to reward your partner, how to cherish each other, how to give each other feedback about what's going right for a change. These are all uncommon practices in this culture. But you know what else is uncommon in this culture? A truly happy long-term relationship. I have 8 million sayings. Here's one, and it's a sad one. A truly happy couple in this culture, unless they've done the work of learning how to be intentional and conscious and skilled. A truly happy couple in this culture is most likely a couple you don't know that well. We can do better. Intimacy isn't something you have, it's something that you do, and you can learn to do it with more skill. Oh, but it should be spontaneous, says the romantic nonsense. My partner should just know what I want and give it to me. I shouldn't have to tell him, let alone be assertive and fight for it. Good luck with that. It's a beautiful dream. But these days in this world with a higher bar of real heart-to-heart connection with each other over decades, you have to learn some skills to pull it off. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. They're there. They're there to be learned. They're not that hard, and they work. In order to access these skills, the first skill that we will teach you and you will learn is what we call relational mindfulness, staying in the wise adult prefrontal cortex part of your brain and not getting swept away by emotional flooding. How do you handle yourself when you're not yourself, but that 17-year-old fighter, that's me, or that 4-year-old people pleaser, that may be you, grabs the wheel? You know, what do they say? Fight, flight, and now fawn, which as an adult becomes fix. Take a moment. What are you when the heat is on? Are you a fighter? That's me and Belinda. Are you a people pleaser, a fawner, a fixer? Oh my God, I'll do anything to make it better for you. Or are you a fleer, which could be sitting right next to the person? I'm shutting down. I've had enough. This is overwhelming. Fight, flight, fix, which is not a sober, what could I do to make things better? It's fawning. I will do anything, oh lion, let me lick your paw so you don't eat me. Different thing. The one thing they all are is automatic. Whoosh, physical, up from the brain. I've got to stand up for myself. I've got to shut this down. This is overwhelming. I've got to make you feel better. I can't possibly feel better unless you do. These are the things you learned as a kid. They probably kept you alive and well. Good for that. Adaptive then, maladaptive now. You bring your habitual automatic response into your long-term relationships and it kills it. Learn to do better. There are other alternatives beyond your knee-jerk automatic response from childhood. It will heal the relationship and it will heal you. If this sounds like it might be your relationship, I am hosting a 3-hour workshop, Discover the Path Back to the closeness that you started off with, to the juice, the magic, the tenderness, the love. Hit the button below. If this sounds at all like you, there is a better way of doing this. I am inviting you on a skilled path. It's demanding, it's resourceful, and it leaves the norms of this culture in the dust. Have the superb relationship that you want and deserve. Hope to see you there.